The story will be told from the perspective of the main female character.
I always thought I was doing life the right way. Work hard. Save money. Don't expect anyone to hand you things. That's what responsible adults do, or at least that's what I believed for years. For the past decade, I worked nonstop, often putting in 60-hour weeks at a marketing firm. My name is Laura Bennett. I'm 36, single, and 2 weeks ago, I bought my first home. After my great-aunt Helen passed away, she left me a small inheritance. It wasn't some huge, life-changing amount, but it was enough to give my savings the final push I needed. I'd been working toward this since I was 25. I budgeted aggressively. I lived in a tiny shared apartment in Roseville. I skipped vacations, made coffee at home, and said no to nights out. While other people spent money on festivals, trips, and designer bags, I quietly saved every extra dollar. When my savings finally hit $320,000 even, I did it. I bought a small 2-bedroom bungalow outright in a quiet neighborhood in East Roseville that was starting to come back to life. No mortgage, no debt, just mine. The house wasn't perfect. The floors creaked, the cabinets were old, and the wallpaper was straight out of the late 1980s, ugly sunflower borders everywhere. But I loved it. I even decided to do most of the renovations myself. YouTube quickly became my best friend. One afternoon, I was standing in the living room, scraping wallpaper off the walls when my phone rang. It was my mom, Susan. "Laura, sweetheart, come over next Saturday," she said. "We're having a family meeting." I paused mid-scrape. A family meeting? About what? "Oh, it's a surprise," she said in that overly sweet tone she uses when she's hiding something. "Be here by 4, and bring that chocolate cake from Maple and Cocoa near your place." "Mom, what is this about?" I asked. "It's just a gathering," she replied. "Your brother Ethan and his fiancée Megan will be there. Your aunts, your cousins too." That immediately set off alarm bells. "It's a surprise, Laura," she said quickly, then hung up. I rolled my eyes and went back to the wallpaper. Whatever it was, it could wait. I had a house to rebuild. Unlike me, my brother Ethan had always had things come easily. In high school, he was the varsity athlete. I was in science club. He dropped out of college to find himself, while I worked full-time and took night classes for 4 years to earn my marketing degree. Our parents never seemed bothered by his choices. It was always excuses, always support. Growing up, if we had events on the same weekend, guess whose they attended? When Ethan graduated high school, they threw a huge backyard party with a DJ. When I graduated college, we went to a quiet diner in a strip mall. On my 16th birthday, I got a used mountain bike. The next year, Ethan got a second-hand Jeep. When I questioned it, Mom said, "He needs it for band practice." As if my internships and weekend tutoring jobs didn't matter. I never complained. I just worked harder. That week flew by as I kept fixing up the bungalow. By Saturday morning, the wallpaper was gone and the living room was primed. Seeing those clean white walls made every blister worth it. That morning, I stopped by Maple and Cocoa and picked up my mom's favorite chocolate cake with buttercream frosting. When I pulled into the driveway of my parents' old house, I noticed cars everywhere. Uncle Mark's old Subaru, Aunt Karen's hybrid, even my cousin Olivia's bright yellow Beetle. This wasn't just a casual get-together. I took a deep breath, grabbed the cake, and walked inside. As soon as I stepped inside, my mom called out, "Laura's here," and rushed over to take the cake from my hands. "Perfect timing," she said. "We're just about to sit down." I scanned the room. My brother Ethan was sitting on the couch next to Megan, both of them smiling way too hard. My dad, Robert, was talking with Uncle Mark near the doorway. My aunts and cousins were slowly moving toward the dining room. "What's going on?" I asked Ethan quietly as I passed him. He just grinned. "You'll see." That did nothing to calm the tight, not forming in my stomach. The dining table was set with the good china. Not everyday plates, the serious ones. Thanksgiving-level serious. That's when I knew this wasn't casual at all. I sat down next to my cousin Olivia, who looked just as confused as I felt. "Do you know what this is about?" I whispered. She shook her head. No idea. Your mom just said it was important family news. Dinner was served. Roast chicken, scalloped potatoes, roasted carrots. The chocolate cake I brought was placed right in the center of the table, like it was something precious, waiting for later. Everyone made small talk, polite smiles, light conversation, but there was tension under it all, like everyone was waiting for a cue. Once everyone had food on their plates, my mom stood up and tapped her glass with a spoon. "I want to thank you all for coming today," she said, smiling wide. "We have some very exciting news." She looked straight at Ethan. Ethan and Megan are expecting. The table exploded with cheers and applause. Megan blushed and put her hand on her stomach. Ethan looked proud, his arm wrapped around her. "And," my mom added quickly, "they're getting married. We're already talking about venues." I smiled and clapped along with everyone else. Despite everything, I really was happy for them. Then my mom glanced at my dad, then at Ethan and Megan, and finally her eyes landed on me. My stomach dropped. "That's not the only news," she said. The room went quiet. "As many of you know, Laura recently bought her own home," she said, gesturing toward me. A few cousins nodded and murmured late congratulations. "She's 36, still single, no kids, no partner." My face felt hot. I had no idea why she was saying this. "But Ethan and Megan are starting a family," she continued. "They need a real home." I froze. She turned fully toward me, her voice soft but firm. "Laura, this is your chance to be generous, to show how much you love your brother." My heart started pounding. "You should give your house to them." The room went completely silent. I stared at her, waiting for her to laugh, waiting for someone to say this was a joke. No one did. "You can go back to renting," she said casually. "You don't need all that space anyway." I looked around the table. My dad nodded slowly beside her. Ethan finally met my eyes. His expression was a mix of guilt and expectation. "That's actually a very thoughtful idea," Aunt Karen said brightly. "Family should take care of each other." Others nodded in agreement. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a suggestion. It was an ambush. "You can't be serious," I said quietly. "Oh, we're very serious," my mom replied, her tone suddenly cold. "Ethan and Megan need a home, you have one, and you don't even have a family of your own." I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. "You want me to give them my house," I said. "The house I worked for 10 years, the one I paid for with sacrifice and inheritance." "Don't be selfish," my dad snapped. "Think about your brother for once." "Selfish?" I let out a short, bitter laugh. "I worked my entire adult life for that house. I didn't get help. I didn't get handouts. I earned it." "But Ethan," my mom started. "No," I said louder. "Absolutely not." Megan suddenly put her hand on her stomach and started sniffling, even though there was barely a bump. Ethan glared at me like I'd just ruined their wedding. "How can you be so cold?" my mom demanded. "Your own brother. How can you ask me to give up everything I built?" I shot back. "Why doesn't Ethan earn it the way I did?" Whispers spread around the table. "So ungrateful. She's always been difficult. You've always only thought about yourself," my mom hissed. "I'm not giving up my house," I said, steady and clear. "That's final." And then it happened. My mom grabbed the cake, the one I bought, and threw it straight at me. It hit me full in the face. Chocolate and buttercream splattered everywhere. My hair, my shirt, the floor. The room went dead silent. No one moved. No one helped. I wiped frosting out of my eyes, grabbed my bag and walked out. Behind me, voices exploded. "Ungrateful. Selfish cow. You're no daughter of mine." I got into my car, my hands shaking so badly I could barely get the key into the ignition. Somehow, I made it home, still covered in dried chocolate frosting, and collapsed onto my old thrift store couch from my apartment days. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Missed calls, texts, from my mom, from my dad, from Ethan. "You're overreacting. Just give them the house. You've always been selfish. Your pregnant brother needs help, and you turn your back." I silenced my phone and tossed it across the room. When I got home, I didn't even bother turning on the lights. I just sat there on my couch, still wearing a shirt smeared with dried chocolate and buttercream, trying to make sense of what had just happened. My hands were shaking, my chest felt tight, and my head was spinning. My phone kept buzzing nonstop. Texts, missed calls, voicemails. From Susan. From Robert. From Ethan. You're being dramatic. Just give them the house. You've always been selfish. Your brother has a baby on the way, and you turn your back on him. I couldn't read anymore. I silenced my phone and tossed it across the room. As I sat there, memories kept flooding back. My whole life, I had always come second to Ethan. When we were kids, he got brand-name sneakers. I got whatever was on clearance. He went off to basketball camps. I stayed home and read. When he turned 16, my parents hired a food truck and strung up party lights in the backyard. For my birthday, a sheet cake on the kitchen counter and plastic forks. And now they expected me to hand over the one thing I had ever truly built for myself. That's when something clicked. I thought about Grandma's house, the house she left to Ethan and me together in her will. We had let our parents live there out of kindness. We never charged rent, never set rules. But legally, that house didn't belong to them. It belonged to us 50-50. I got up and went to my filing cabinet. I pulled out the manila folder I hadn't touched in years. Inside was Grandma's will, clear as day, equal ownership. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I started dialing a real estate lawyer when my phone buzzed with a notification. Facebook. I opened the app and froze. My mom had posted publicly, "Sometimes your own child breaks your heart." Laura refused to help her pregnant brother when he needed her most. The comments were brutal. I was there. Laura was ice cold. Some people just don't understand family. Keeping a whole house to herself. Disgusting. My stomach dropped as I scrolled. And the worst part, my mom was liking the comments, even replying. We raised her better than this. It wasn't just a post. It was a full-on smear campaign. That's when whatever loyalty I still had snapped completely. I searched for a real estate attorney near East Roseville. The first name that came up was Whitmore Legal Group. Whitmore Legal Group, this is Amanda, the receptionist answered. I need to speak with someone about property rights, I said, my voice calm, even though I was shaking. 2 hours later, I was sitting across from Daniel Whitmore. He had sharp eyes and a quiet, focused presence. I told him everything. The will, the house, the family meeting, the cake, the Facebook post. So just to be clear, he said, tapping his pen, you and your brother each own half of your grandmother's home. Your parents live there rent-free, and now they tried to pressure you into giving up your own house. Yes, I said. I'm not looking for revenge, I just want clarity and boundaries. He reviewed the will again. It's straightforward. You own half. You can force a sale, or you can require your brother to buy you out at market value. Your parents have no legal standing. What's the first step? I asked. I'll draft a formal notice today. Do it, I said without hesitation. I threw myself into the renovations. I painted trim, ripped out carpet, hauled debris. The physical work helped drown out the noise in my head. 5 days later, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Susan, Robert, Ethan, Megan. I didn't open the door. Laura, we know you're in there, my mom shouted. We need to talk about this ridiculous letter. My dad's voice boomed behind her. You have no right. I quietly hit record on my phone. You ungrateful brat, my mom screamed. After everything we've done for you. You're trying to make your pregnant brother homeless, Megan yelled. This is low, even for you, Ethan added. They went on like that for almost 15 minutes. Insults, guilt trips, threats. I didn't say a word. I didn't open the door. Eventually, they left. I sent the recording to Daniel. He called me right away. This qualifies as harassment, he said. If it continues, we can seek a restraining order. And honestly, this only strengthens your case. A week later, he called again. Their lawyer reached out, he said. They want to mediate. The mediation was set for Monday. On Monday, I arrived early at Daniel Whitmore's office. I wore my navy pantsuit, the one I'd saved for big presentations, and tried to keep my nerves in check. Daniel greeted me with a calm nod. "You're well within your rights," he said. "Don't let them shake you." A little later, Susan, Robert, Ethan, and Megan arrived, all with their lawyer. My mom shot me a glare and muttered, "Traitor!" The mediator got everyone settled and started going over the facts. Their lawyer claimed that forcing a sale would be cruel and disruptive. Daniel calmly handed over the Facebook post and my recording of the harassment. 2 hours went by. Then both lawyers returned with a proposal. Sell the house and split the proceeds equally between Ethan and me, as the will stated. Mom broke down. "Please, Laura," she begged. "We're your family. I'm sorry about the cake. I lost my temper." I looked at her, every slight and overlooked moment flashing through my mind. "The house will be sold," I said. "That's final." Daniel started drafting the agreement. Their anger pressed in like heat, but I felt nothing. 2 months passed in a blur of legal work and showings. The house sold quickly. The market was hot. After fees, Ethan and I each received $185,000. We never spoke again. Everything went through the lawyers. Daniel later told me my parents were furious but completely powerless. Their rent-free era was over. What will they do now? I asked him during our final meeting. Ethan used his share as a down payment, Daniel said. Your parents are moving in with him and Megan. They secured a mortgage for the rest. I nodded, feeling a strange mix of guilt and relief. I had, in effect, forced my parents out of the home they had been living in. But then I remembered the cake, the door screaming, the Facebook post. They had made their choices. And you, Daniel asked, plans for your share? Investment portfolio, I said. I started working with a financial advisor, a mix of stocks, bonds, and REITs. Smart, he said. Well, unless there's more, our business is wrapped. I shook his hand. Thanks for helping me stand my ground. Back at my apartment, I looked around. Hardwood floors gleamed. The kitchen was clean and bright. Fresh paint everywhere. My phone rang. It was my coworker, Natalie. Laura, how are you holding up? I'm okay, actually, I said. The sale's final, money in my account, and my family. Little messy, she said. I wasn't invited to Ethan's wedding. He and Megan are expecting. Natalie hesitated. Are you okay with not meeting your nephew, with him growing up thinking you're the villain? I said, honestly, maybe they never saw me as family, just convenient. I knew this would never happen. My parents spent their lives putting Ethan first. They weren't about to develop self-awareness in their 60s. After hanging up, I poured a glass of wine and stepped out onto my small balcony. The Roseville sky was painted warm orange and soft pink. 6 months ago, being estranged from my entire family would have crushed me. Now I felt peace. My phone pinged. A text from a mutual friend. Emily had the baby. 7 pounds 6 ounces. Everyone's healthy. I stared at it, waiting for emotion. Anger, grief, regret. Nothing, just quiet recognition, like hearing about a stranger's milestone. They were all under one roof now, Ethan, Megan, the baby, and my parents, living in a house funded by Ethan's half of Grandma's legacy, paying a mortgage they'd likely keep into retirement. But I didn't feel bad for them. They had made their choices. I was never their daughter, sister, or aunt. I was the resource, the wallet. Inside, my apartment welcomed me in calm silence. Some would call it lonely. I called it freedom. On my bookshelf sat one box of photos, just Grandma and me. She treated us equally. She tried to balance the scales. And finally, I was done burning for others. If you've ever been expected to give everything and ask for nothing, you know the feeling. I had finally stood up for myself. Boundaries aren't selfish. Sometimes they're the only thing that keeps you sane. I sat back, took a sip of wine, and felt the quiet strength of finally, truly being free.